June 22, 1985, Mexico City. The set of Murphy's Law was in full production when a young co-star named Derek Hammond made a joke he thought was harmless. "Hey guys, I just saw Jill Ireland in Wardrobe. Cancer really did a number on her, huh? She looks like she has aged 20 years. The crew went silent. Everyone turned to look at Charles Bronson, who was sitting 20 feet away, supposedly out of earshot, but he would heard every word. His face did not change. He did not move. He just stared at Derek for 3 long seconds. Then he stood up, walked to his trailer, and closed the door. What happened over the next 3 days became legendary in Hollywood. Charles Bronson did not yell. He did not throw punches. He did not get Derek fired. Instead, he did something far more devastating. He made Derek Hammond invisible. And by the time it was over, the young actor learned a lesson about respect that no acting school could ever teach. This is the untold story of Charles Bronson's quiet revenge and why silence can be more powerful than any words. Derek Hammond was 28 years old in 1985. A rising actor with a string of supporting roles in action films. He would been cast in Murphy's Law as Charles's partner, a significant role that could elevate his career. Landing a part opposite Charles Bronson was a big deal, the kind of opportunity that could make you a star. Derek was talented, charismatic, and confident, maybe too confident. He had a habit of making jokes to endear himself to the crew, to show he was one of the guys. Most of the time, his humor landed well. But on September 22nd, he crossed the line he did not even know existed. Jill Ireland had been battling breast cancer for over a year. She would undergone surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. The treatments had taken a visible toll. She would lost weight. Her hair had thinned, and the vibrant energy she was known for had dimmed. But she was alive, fighting, and Charles was grateful for every day they had together. Jill had a small role in Murphy's Law, just a few scenes as a witness to a crime. Charles had requested she be cast. He wanted her close during filming. Being separated from her, especially now, was unbearable. The producers had agreed readily. Jill Ireland's name still had value, and her presence made Charles happy, which made production smoother. She would arrive on set that morning for a wardrobe fitting. She looked fragile but determined, smiling at crew members who greeted her warmly. Everyone on the production knew about her illness. Everyone treated her with kindness and respect. Everyone, except Derek Hammond. Eric had been joking with some crew members near the craft services table when Jill walked past. He would made his comment about cancer and aging without thinking, without considering who might hear, without understanding the depth of what he was mocking. The crew's reaction should have warned him. The instant silence, the uncomfortable glances, the way people suddenly found reasons to be somewhere else. But Derek was oblivious. He laughed at his own joke, grabbed a coffee, and headed toward his trailer to prepare for the afternoon scenes. Charles had been reviewing the script in a folding chair near the camera setup when Derek's words reached him. For a moment, he did not react. He just sat there, the script open in his lap, his expression unchanged. Then he closed the script very carefully, stood up, and walked to his trailer without saying a word to anyone. The assistant director, a veteran named Tom Riley, who had worked with Charles on 3 previous films, watched him go and felt a chill. He would seen Charles angry before, usually controlled, always dangerous, but this was different. This was cold. Tom immediately went to find Derek. He found him in his trailer, practicing lines in the mirror. "Derek, we need to talk." Derek turned, smiling. "Hey, Tom, what is up? We are still on schedule for the 2 p.m. scene, right?" "Did you make a comment about Jill Ireland?" Derek's smile faltered. "What? I might have mentioned. What exactly did you say?" "I do not know. Just something about how she looks different. It was just a joke, man. I did not mean anything by it. Tom closed the trailer door. Charles heard you. The color drained from Derek's face. Oh, shit. I did not know he was there. I thought, it does not matter where he was. You insulted his wife who has cancer, his wife who he loves more than anything in this world. Derek sat down heavily. What do I do? Should I apologize? I will go apologize right now. I do not think that is going to help. Charles does not do confrontation the way you would expect. He is not going to yell at you or hit you. But Derek, I have worked with him for years. When Charles gets quiet, that is when you need to worry. So what are you saying? Tom sighed. I am saying the next few days are going to be very uncomfortable for you, and there is nothing I can do about it. The afternoon shoot was scheduled for 2 p.m. The scene involved Charles and Derek's characters investigating a crime scene, with several pages of dialogue between them. It was a critical scene for Derek. His character's relationship with Charles's character was established here. At 2 p.m., Charles emerged from his trailer. He was in full costume, makeup perfect, completely professional. He greeted the director, J. Lee Thompson, with a nod. He spoke briefly with the cinematographer about lighting. He was calm, focused, ready to work. Derek approached nervously. Hey, Charles. I just wanted to say. Charles walked past him as if he did not exist. Did not acknowledge him, did not look at him, just walked right by to his mark on the set. Derek stood there, confused, then followed to his own mark. J. Lee Thompson called for a rehearsal. Okay, gentlemen, let us walk through this. Derek, you enter from stage left, approach the body, and deliver your first line. Charles, you are already examining the victim when he arrives. Let us see it. They ran through the blocking. When it came time for Derek to deliver his line, what we have here, detective. Charles did not respond. He continued examining the fake corpse, completely ignoring Derek's presence. Charles, J. Lee prompted. That is your cue to respond. Charles looked up at the director. I am sorry. Did someone say something? J. Lee frowned. Derek just delivered his line. I did not hear anyone. The set went quiet. Derek tried again. What do we have here, detective? Charles continued his examination, not even glancing in Derek's direction. J. Lee Thompson was a skilled director who had worked with difficult actors before. He recognized immediately what was happening. This was not Charles forgetting his lines or having a bad day. This was deliberate. Let us take 5, J. Lee announced. He pulled Charles aside. Charlie, what is going on? Nothing's going on. I am ready to work. You are not responding to Derek's lines. Is there a Derek in this scene? I was not aware. J. Lee understood. Charlie, I heard what he said about Jill. It was inappropriate and stupid, but we have a film to make. Can you work with him? Charles looked at the director. His voice was quiet but firm. I can work. I can hit my marks. I can say my lines, but I will not acknowledge that man's existence. If you want to reshoot all his scenes with someone else, I am happy to cooperate. If you want to rewrite the script so our characters do not interact, that works too, but I will not speak to him, look at him, or pretend he is in the room. Charles, that is not practical. Half your scenes are with him. Then we have a problem. J. Lee Thompson had directed over 40 films. He would dealt with prima donnas, method actors, and egomaniacs. But Charles Bronson was not any of those things. He was a professional who showed up, did his job, and went home. If he was taking this stand, he had a reason. Give me a day, J. Lee said. Let me think about how to handle this. Take all the time you need. I will be in my trailer. The production shut down for the rest of the day, while Lee, the producers, and the writers figured out what to do. They could not recast Derek. too expensive, too time-consuming. They could not rewrite the script to eliminate the interaction between the two characters. The whole film was built around their partnership. They had to find a way to make this work. Meanwhile, Derek was panicking. His big break, his chance to work with Charles Bronson, was falling apart because of one stupid joke. He tried multiple times to approach Charles, to apologize, to make it right. Every time, Charles treated him like he was invisible. Derek would start speaking, and Charles would walk away mid-sentence. Derek would try to get his attention, and Charles would look right through him, as if he was not there. It was psychological torture, and it was completely legal, completely professional. Charles was not violating any contract. He was not being abusive or creating a hostile work environment. He was just not acknowledging Derek's existence. By the second day, the entire crew had noticed, and most of them, knowing what Derek had said, sided with Charles. Derek found himself isolated. People were polite to him, professional, but the warmth was gone. Nobody wanted to be seen as too friendly with the guy who'd insulted Jill Ireland. J. Lee Thompson came up with a solution. They would shoot the scenes, but they would do it in a specific way. Derek would deliver his lines to Charles. Charles would deliver his response to the camera, or to an imaginary point in space, or to another actor who would be edited out later. Through creative blocking, camera angles, and editing, they could make it appear as though the two actors were interacting, even though Charles never once looked at Derek or acknowledged his presence. It was awkward, difficult, and required far more setups than normal, but it worked. On the third day of this arrangement, Jill visited the set. She would heard from friends on the crew what was happening, and she came to try to smooth things over. She found Charles in his trailer during lunch break. "Charlie, I heard what has been going on. He insulted you, I know, and it was hurtful and cruel. But sweetheart, you are making the entire production difficult because of me. I do not want that." Charles looked at his wife. She was wearing a scarf to cover her thinning hair. She looked tired but beautiful. "He mocked your illness. He treated your suffering like a joke. I will not forgive that." "You do not have to forgive it, but you do have to work with him. For the film, for your reputation, for me." "Jill," she took his hand. "Charlie, I love that you want to defend me. I love that my suffering matters to you that much. But this young man made a mistake, a terrible, thoughtless mistake. He is being punished. 3 days of being invisible. 3 days of watching his dream project fall apart because of his own stupidity. That is punishment enough. It is not enough. Not for what he said. Then do it for me. Talk to him. Let him apologize. Give him a chance to learn from this." Charles was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. "If that is what you want, it is what I want." That afternoon, during a break between scenes, Charles approached Derek for the first time in 3 days. Derek was sitting alone, looking miserable. Derek looked up, shocked that Charles was actually speaking to him. "Mr. Bronson, my wife asked me to give you a chance to apologize, so I am giving you that chance. You have 1 minute." Derek stood immediately. "Mr. Bronson, I am so sorry. What I said was cruel and stupid, and there is no excuse for it. I was not thinking. I was trying to be funny, trying to fit in with the crew, and I said something horrible about a woman who is fighting for her life. Your wife does not deserve that. You do not deserve that. I have spent the last 3 days thinking about what a piece of shit I am, and if I could take it back, I would. I know you probably cannot forgive me, and I understand that, but I need you to know that I am genuinely sorry." Charles studied him. Derek looked like he would barely slept. His eyes were red. He looked like he would been crying, My wife has breast cancer, Charles said quietly. She has had surgery. She has been through chemotherapy. She has lost her hair. She has lost weight. She is in pain every single day. But she gets up every morning and she fights. She fights because she wants to live. She wants more time with me, with our children, with this world. That is courage. Real courage, not the fake kind we portray in these movies. Derek nodded, tears forming in his eyes. When you mocked her appearance, when you made her suffering into a joke, you showed me exactly who you are. You are a small man, a cruel man. Someone who kicks people when they are down because it makes you feel big. You are right, Derek whispered. You are absolutely right. But my wife, Charles continued, is a better person than both of us. She came to me today and asked me to forgive you. Not for your sake, but for mine. She does not want me carrying around anger. She does not want this eating at me. Charles stepped closer. So, here is what is going to happen. We are going to finish this film. We are going to work together professionally. I will speak to you when the scene requires it. I will treat you with the basic respect that any co-worker deserves. But we will never be friends. We will never be close. And if I ever hear that you have said anything disrespectful about her again, there will not be a second chance. Do you understand me? Yes, sir, completely. And Derek? When this film wraps, you are going to donate $10,000 to a cancer research charity. Not because I am telling you to, but because you want to do something meaningful, to make up for what you said, and you are going to volunteer at a cancer treatment center. You are going to sit with patients. You are going to see what they go through. You are going to understand what you mocked. Derek nodded vigorously. I will. I promise I will. Charles turned to walk away and stopped. One more thing. The next time you are tempted to make a joke at someone's expense, think about whether you would say it if they were standing right in front of you. Because if you would not say it to their face, you should not say it behind their back. With that, Charles walked away. Production resumed normally. Charles and Derek worked together professionally for the remaining 3 weeks of filming. They were never warm with each other, never friendly, but they got the job done. True to his word, Derek donated $15,000, $5,000 more than Charles had suggested, to the American Cancer Society, and he began volunteering at City of Hope Cancer Treatment Center in Los Angeles. He spent 1 day a week reading to patients, running errands for families, helping however he could. Years later, in a 2001 interview, Derek Hammond was asked about working with Charles Bronson. It was the most important lesson of my career, Derek said. I made a terrible mistake, and Charles could have gotten me fired. He could have destroyed my reputation with one phone call, but instead, he taught me something. He showed me that words have consequences, that cruelty has costs, and that if you disrespect someone's suffering, you deserve to be invisible. Do you think he forgave you? The interviewer asked. Derek shook his head. No, and I do not expect him to. What I said was unforgivable, but he gave me a chance to become a better person. That is more than I deserved. The interviewer pressed. Did you ever speak to him again after the film wrapped? Once. In 1990, when I heard that Jill had passed away, I sent him a letter, just a simple condolence, expressing my sympathy. He never responded, and I did not expect him to, but I needed him to know that I remembered her and that I was sorry for her loss. Did you continue your charity work? Yes. I have been volunteering at cancer centers for 16 years now. I have donated over $100,000 to cancer research. Not because I am trying to earn Charles's forgiveness. I will never have that. But because Jill Ireland's fight, her courage, should mean something. And if my stupid joke can be transformed into something that helps cancer patients, then maybe some good came from my mistake. It's a story of what happened on the set of Murphy's Law. Became an open secret in Hollywood. It was never officially reported. Charles saw to that. But crew members told other crew members. Actors told other actors. It became one of those lessons that got passed down. Do not mess with Charles Bronson's family. But more than that, it became a story about the power of silence. In an industry where people screamed and threw tantrums and made dramatic gestures, Charles Bronson had shown that sometimes the most devastating response was simply refusing to acknowledge someone's existence. J. Lee Thompson later said in his autobiography, "I have seen actors destroy each other with words. I have seen physical fights on set. I have seen every kind of conflict imaginable. But I have never seen anything as effective as what Charles did to Derek. He did not need to yell. He did not need to threaten. He just erased him." And Derek felt that absence more powerfully than any punch could have landed. Jill Ireland passed away on May 18, 1009. At her funeral, Derek Hammond stood in the back, not approaching the family, just paying his respects from a distance. Charles saw him there. Their eyes met briefly across the cemetery. Charles gave a small nod, acknowledgement, if not forgiveness. That was the last time they saw each other. When Charles Bronson died in 2003, Derek Hammond was interviewed again, this time for an obituary piece about Charles's impact on the people who worked with him. "Charles Bronson taught me that strength is not about muscles or guns or tough guy posturing," Derek said. "Real strength is loving someone so completely that you will defend their dignity even when they are not in the room. Real strength is being willing to sacrifice professional relationships, to make your own work harder, to stand alone, all to protect someone you love. He made you invisible for 3 days over one comment. Some people might call that an overreaction." Derek shook his head firmly. It was not an overreaction. It was exactly the right reaction. "I had mocked a dying woman's appearance. I had treated her suffering as entertainment. That deserved consequences. And Charles gave me those consequences in the most elegant, professional way possible. He did not get me fired. He did not assault me. He just showed me what it feels like to not matter. And I have never forgotten that feeling." What do you want people to know about Charles Bronson? Derek thought for a moment. "I want them to know that the tough guy on screen was nothing compared to the man in real life. On screen, he fought criminals and protected the innocent. Off-screen, he protected his wife's dignity with a silence that spoke louder than any words could. That is real toughness. That is real love." The final cut of Murphy's Law shows no evidence of the conflict between Charles and Derek. Through clever editing and J. Lee Thompson's skilled direction, their scenes together appear natural and professional. Critics praised the chemistry between the two actors, having no idea that they would barely looked at each other during filming. But watch carefully. There is something in Charles's eyes during those scenes, a coldness, a distance. It is subtle, almost imperceptible, but it is there. That is not acting. That is real. June 22, 1985. A young actor made a cruel joke about a woman fighting cancer, and for 3 days he ceased to exist. Not legally, not physically, but in every way that mattered. Charles Bronson did not need to raise his voice, did not need to throw a punch, did not need to make threats or demands. He just stopped seeing Derek Hammond. And in that silence, in that absence of acknowledgement, he delivered a message more powerful than any confrontation could have achieved. You disrespect the people I love, and you lose me, completely, forever. That is not revenge. That is consequence. That is a man who understands that sometimes the most devastating thing you can do to someone is not to destroy them. It is to simply show them that they do not matter enough to destroy. Derek Hammond learned that lesson. He carried it for the rest of his life. And in a strange way, that cruel joke he made in 1985 became the catalyst for him becoming a better person, someone who understood suffering, who contributed to fighting cancer, who never again mopped someone's pain. Charles Bronson did not just punish Derek, he transformed him. Without saying a word,